Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So today, Charlie Kirk got assassinated. I'm not sure they found the killer just yet, but it is extremely devastating, extremely sad. No matter what you thought of, some of his policies, definitely opened a lot of young people's minds up. He was a very inspirational and big figure in the movement, and today we're going to be asking people what they think about this situation. Why is this happening? What has been going on this past week? Let's go find out. Well, I assume you saw what happened with Charlie Kirk. What do you think is happening currently? It seems like tensions are rising, and obviously he got assassinated in broad daylight during one of his speeches.
It's tough to say, to be honest. It's pretty sad, to be honest. I'm sure you saw it too, but I'm not really sure if people know how big of a deal it is, because what's going on right now is, I don't know where you stand. It doesn't really matter where you stand, but the left is supposed to be the tolerant party, right? But what's been happening is all these big figures, obviously our president, they tried to assassinate him and they didn't, and it makes you think, like, what would have happened if that did happen? And I don't know, seeing something like that, for me, you probably saw the really graphic video, seeing something like that for me was really eye-opening, because it's almost like you feel like you know Charlie Kirk, you see so many videos of him, and it was so graphic. But I guess to answer your question, I don't really know where it's going to go from here. There's a lot of people that I think are slowly waking up, even people on the left. Like, my stepdad's super liberal, and we butt heads about him, and we were talking about it today. And it's something that I think a lot of people are noticing now, that all these people that we're speaking up in the land of the free, right? You have freedom of speech, you have all the right to say all these things, and it's nothing about it is like in a super toxic manner, he was just having conversations with people about things they disagreed on. And for someone like that, he was 31 years old. He had a family, was clearly a loving father, and for him to get just murdered in broad daylight for literally just trying to establish traditional norms that we have in our society, that what makes America such a great country.
Yeah.
And to think that was so problematic, right? Preaching Christianity, stuff like that. You don't need to believe in everyone's in the same religion. That's fine. But I think there's a lot that goes into it. I don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but it was a weird feeling today.
I think it's a real statement of what's going on in the world. I mean, I'm very sad for him and his family, and really sad for this country.
Has it seemed like the tensions have been rising this past few weeks? The girl got murdered on the train in North Carolina a few days ago. There's been a few other events, and now this. What do you think is happening?
Well, I think it actually started, and not to make it anything non-U.S., but I actually think this craziness started October 7th of 2 years ago. And when the whole thing happened with Hamas, going into Israel and destroying that, it created an increase in anti-Semitism, and then it created all sorts of increases in tension in all sorts of demographics.
I think if you keep being divisive to enough people, that at all and on both sides of the fence, eventually people are going to snap. They keep pushing, saying to hate the other team. You should hate this team. You should hate the other team. Eventually, people hate the other team, and they're willing to resort to violence. Unfortunately,
So he was pushing hate?
No, he wasn't pushing hate. I don't think it's anything against him personally. I'm saying I think overall the media, the narrative is to hate the other team. Nothing to do with Charlie Kirk personally. So people, they tend to take it out on each other now.
Okay, well, yeah, what's the solution to that? Like you said, everything seems so divisive right now.
Maybe a bit more coming back together in the middle. Recognize that the 80% of us probably all get along, and just, we might think a little different, have different political opinions, but we probably all feel the same way about our neighbors, and we don't need to resort to violence, and we could probably become more of a community. More community outreach, more breaking bread together, more more talking to each other, and less clicks and less posting, more in-person talks. People are less likely to be confrontational if they were sitting down having dinner or something, or having a conversation like me and you.
Yes, I did. I heard about it.
What are your thoughts on that situation?
Well, I don't have many thoughts because I don't really know anything of him, but everyone's like posting on Instagram and like saying that they hope he didn't deserve it or something like that.
Yeah, so some people are like celebrating his death, things like that. Like, well, what do you think of that? Isn't that?
That's brutal. Like, I don't think anyone should celebrate death, but
Yeah.
you don't know what he's done. But I don't know him, so.
It seems like it's been a wild week. Like, I'm sure you also saw the murder of the Ukrainian girl in the North Carolina train. And people are obviously celebrating Charlie Kirk's death.
Yeah.
They were celebrating even her death. Do you think something like a civil war could happen in the near future?
I think the short answer is probably no. I mean, you talk about within like the next year, no. It just sucks because, like I said, no matter where you stand, it's pretty obvious that I think from both sides, like, the higher powers thrive on like divisiveness, right? And I feel like people are at each other's throats now more than ever. Even you look back 10 years ago when we were growing up, like, it was never like this. Like, Democrat and Republican didn't look like what it does today. And even like major leaders, like even Biden, like Hillary Clinton, their views were considered 20 years ago. Now today they're considered conservative when you go and look at their rallies and their speeches. So I don't think there's going to be like a civil war by any means, but I think people are now more divisive than ever. And like, to your point, going on Twitter and going on Instagram and all that, seeing people like genuinely celebrating the death of someone, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you stand. Like, it's you know, you can't. You're a human being at the end of the day. So if you consider yourself a good person, an empathetic person, it's just ridiculous to see people like celebrating the death of someone, a father too, at that. So, but I don't think there will be a civil war. I think thankfully we have someone in power that seems to have a pretty good grasp on trying to keep things even keeled, even though some people might disagree with that.
But what do you think the solution, like, moving forward is? Because it seems like people are angry. There are some people who are like laughing at Charlie Kirk's death. You know, they were laughing at the girl on the train. What is going to happen here?
Well, I'm a conservative. Okay. And I don't know what your station or your podcast is or whatever, but it's time for the leaders of the left to stop talking about it, putting violence on political leaders. I mean, you have people like Schumer and AOC, and they're all several of the women from California talking about, you know, get up in the political people's faces and interrupt their dinners and create problems for them socially. And they've got to stop it. It's just wrong. And it's morally wrong. It's corrupt. Because I disagree with your political beliefs, now I should be shot. I mean, it's just wrong. We've lost our moral compass.
Did you see the stabbing in North Carolina as well?
Yeah, that was the saddest thing I've ever heard. I've seen. I can't believe that. You know, career criminal. This poor girl. She's in her pizza outfit. You know, working, trying to start a new life, and then she gets stabbed by a maniac like that. I mean, it's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Did you also see, it kind of blew up these past few days, the girl who was stabbed in North Carolina?
Like on the train, on the neck? Yeah, that was awful. Yeah, I saw that too.
What do you think of that? Some people are making it about race. Do you think we should focus on race?
No, never. But I think that was just a very messed up situation in time. And no one did anything about that too, which was the worst part. So, like, I remember seeing on the train with the videos, like, everyone around her, no one did anything. So.
Notice they were also all black?
No, I didn't notice that.
But they were all black. And the judge that let him out as well after 14 counts was also black.
Oh, that's brutal.
So what should people do moving forward? Should we come more together? Like, what should happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, on a small scale, like, you look around, maybe because we're in the state of Florida, but people aren't, it's a melting pot here. You don't see firsthand a lot of the stuff that you see in other places, luckily. I think it's also probably due to how the cities are ran and the people that are in power. You know, you talk about like what Trump's trying to do in a lot of these Democratic-ran cities and cleaning it up, and it's not really something that people are that aware of. But I think the best idea moving forward is like, yeah, I think everyone love everyone. You don't have to agree. I think that's the thing at the end of the day. And a lot of people that you talk to on the other side, no matter where you lie, I will just be straightforward and say, like, on the left, a lot of times, if you don't agree with them, then essentially you're a bad person and all these things, and it becomes a moral thing more than anything. For the most part, I think people our age and around like our age are waking up, and like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter which side you lie on. I think common sense is really the only thing that matters, and I think most people are pretty much on the same page. Again, it's pretty skewed. Down here in Florida, I think you see people are more, I wouldn't even say conservative, I just think have a much better understanding of like how things should be. And because if you look back, like I said, when we were growing up, it wasn't like this, you know, which is obviously sad to see. And it makes you think, like, you probably want to have kids too. It makes you think, like, the world we grew up in, now what it looks like today, and what it'll look like when we have, you know, kids in 15, 10, 20 years down the road. And it is sad, but hopefully we can start to make a change. I think a lot of people are starting to like wake up in a sense. And
What about the murder of the girl on the train in North Carolina? A lot of people are making it about race. Do you think that's a main factor, and should we be focusing on that?
I don't think it has anything to do with race. I think the guy is obviously mentally incompetent. He had 14 convictions or charges before him, most of which were minor, which the left is saying, okay, so the guy got arrested for being drunk. That doesn't make him whatever. But it's not a racial thing. It's maybe a socioeconomic thing, but it's not a racial thing.
Some people are making it about race. Do you think it's important to point that out?
I mean, I think when it's the other way around, it's pointed out. So I don't know. I mean, I guess that would only point more divisiveness. I don't know. I mean, it's point to our system, lack of. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that part, but something to put in everyone's pocket, I guess. I don't know.
It seems like when the school shooter's white or whatever, the killer's white, that's always pointed out. But when he's black, it's always covered up, or people are like, stop making it about race. But if you look at the statistics, it's almost always black people.
I mean, they always try to make everything about race and bend it about race. But back to my first point is, the more we keep bending things, the more we keep divisiveness going. If you say, oh, then this is the black guy that killed the white girl, the next, it keeps going back and forth. Where does it end, right? How about it ends with, all right, we need to make our community safer. We need to have better outreach for mental health, which we know is bullshit, by the way. We need to lock people up for longer. I don't know, man. That's a harder question.
Do you think we should focus on that if we always see one group of people doing the same thing over and over again?
No. I feel like that's just, it depends the area, how they're born, how they're raised. I don't think race or like the color of their skin defines how they are, because there's some really religious people that are black, like some really good morals people that have a different race, so no.
How come the statistics say like black people are a lot more likely to be violent, to kill you, everything like that?
Could just be due to like the population of black people being from like more poor areas, and they just grew up with like habits of that.
Did you know the richest blacks are 3 times more likely to commit murder than the poorest whites?
No. Okay, I don't know if I can continue this, because my niche on like social media is like kind of around racism, and I don't fuck with that.
You don't like racism?
No, I don't.
Do you think if the girl would have been racist and not sat by a black person, she would have not got killed that day?
I don't even know. Was she being racist in that situation?
No, but if she was racist, she would have maybe survived.
I think her survival skills, like how would she know it was like in the back of her neck, like how, she can't see behind her.
Yeah, she would have not sat behind or in front of a black person.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah?
I don't know, like these are bad questions, because like I don't know, I'm not very like too into what's going on, and I'm not in tune.
No, but I mean, again, like I'm saying, you see around you see on the news all the people who are committing the murders, the crimes, robbing, looting.
Racist?
Thank you for watching the video. Again, rest in peace to Irina Zarutska and rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. I'm very interested to see where this is going to go in the future. Clearly tensions are rising. Thank you for watching the video. It's been a very grim week, and see you guys next time.